Good afternoon, everybody. We are interrupting programming right now with breaking news. It's happening right here at this hour in our backyard at News Channel 15. A big brush fire burning right outside our door. This is right off 501 across the street from Coastal Carolina University near the Atlantic Business Center, or I should say in the Atlantic Business Center. You can see a certain line of fire there, fire spreading along a train track, we should emphasize. News Channel 15's Mike Essian joins us live from outside our studio right now. And Mike, specifically, what do we know and how did this start?
Jim, we don't know at this point. We came outside and saw flames. Just before we saw the flames, we heard a train go by. We have not been able to confirm whether the train actually started the fire, but the train is stopped less than a half-mile up the tracks here. Josh is painting that way. The fire appears to be all along the railroad tracks here, like you said, right across from Coastal Carolina University in the Atlantic Business Center. Also closer to Conway. Josh, you can come back this way with the fire behind me here that firefighters are trying to put out. There's a two-story house, we've been told by Horry County Fire Rescue, that is on fire as a result of this continuing string of fires. Officials from Horry County Fire tell us that the fire is all over the place. They don't know exactly how far it spread, but there are crews and sirens and smoke just about everywhere along 501 here in the Coastal Carolina area. Jim?
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Jim.
Hey, back to the agencies. We obviously hear fire trucks behind you right now. They've been responding. This has been ongoing now for about 45 minutes. Do we know how many agencies are actually on scene at this point?
We do not know how many are on scene right now because there are so many out here. We have Conway Fire who's reported. We also have Horry County Fire Rescue, of course. As you said, there are a number of sirens going on, not only with fire trucks and smaller rigs, but also with some fire cars, public safety cars. Again, this is right along 501 and then in the Atlantic Business Center. A lot of traffic passing through here. It is very smoky. This all seems like it happened just within the last 30 or 40 minutes or so. We're going to try to get an exact time frame set up for you, but I don't know if we could take a shot from the tower cam and you can kind of see the fire as it spreads. It's right. Kind of veining across the grass here.
And Mike, we should emphasize, again, this fire is spread out here along 501, the Atlantic Business Center in particular. But as you pointed out, you ran out there near the beginning of all of this and said that the fire was actually making its way towards a relatively new shopping complex that is right across the street from Coastal Carolina University. Do we know how far this fire spreads in that direction, which would be towards the beach?
Well, actually, it did go that way. We don't know how far it spread or if it actually threatened the University Commons. I believe that's what you're referencing, Jim. It's just over here off of 501, directly across from Coastal Carolina. They just put in a new traffic light there. There were some trees and some brush that was on fire down there, and again, we don't know how far that damage has gone or whether it's in fact threatened any of the buildings in that area. But again, the fire does continue down through the in the same direction parallel with the railroad tracks, and again, that train has stopped. We've gotten no confirmation from Horry County Fire Rescue if that is what in fact caused the fire. Again, that's just speculation on our part, but I'm sure that's something
well, and obviously that's the headline of the hour, trying to figure out if indeed it was that train. That was the initial report that perhaps sparks from a train combined with this wind. And obviously that wind, Mike, has played a major role here. Just when they get one spot of that fire out, it seems like it jumps to some degree and it picks up somewhere else.
No doubt, Jim. Just standing out here and watching the fire over the last 25 or 30 minutes, as soon as that wind does pick up, you can see the fire grow tremendously. When we're out here right now and it's kind of calm, the flames are about knee-high in some of this grass, but as soon as that wind picks up, the flames jump far above my head, probably double my height, 15, 20 feet in the air, especially around some of these trees, a lot of pine trees in the area. That sap is very flammable. Again, we're going to continue to follow this and see where this takes us.
Mike, I've just been told that traffic obviously being affected now, particularly the traffic towards Conway. It is on the, this fire is taking place on 501. Heading towards Conway, that part of 501 now, traffic affected, being backed up. And of course, we know 501 traffic, particularly this time of day, is usually pretty busy anyway. But fire officials advising that if you don't have to be on 501 in this area between Carolina Forest and Conway, that's probably a pretty good idea until they get a handle on this. And again, we emphasize that wind is playing a role here simply because it's a brush fire. And when they get one area of this fire out, they literally have to assess whether it's going to spread or perhaps jump to some other location. We're looking right now, and Victoria Jones, my producer, I don't know if we can specifically pinpoint where those flames are coming from. We do know that is a warehouse behind the Atlantic Center. Of course, we don't know if that warehouse is being affected by the flames. It looks like it's on the other side. Fire crews have been very careful here to make sure that they've actually combated this fire in the major hot spots that have affected businesses like ours. Frankly, this fire was literally right to the sidewalk of News Channel 15 just a few minutes ago. They're doing their best to make sure that property is protected, and then they're kind of assessing where they believe that this brush fire can kind of burn itself out and allowing it to do so. Mike, obviously a question here that we'll have to try to assess in the next hour or so. If this indeed started on the train track, there would be, and we're just surmising here, but there would be speculation, I suppose, that maybe they called 911 or maybe they knew that this was happening. I mean, obviously 911 was contacted by somebody at some point.
Well, by the time, Jim, that we found out this was going on just outside here, someone had already called 911. We placed a call to 911. They said someone was already responding. Trucks were on the way. And again, like you said, this is the Atlantic Business Center. A lot of industrial buildings back here, warehouses, businesses, and then you've got the station here, as well as some classrooms for Coastal Carolina University. So again, firefighters appear to be out here trying to curb the fire, prevent it from spreading. You can kind of see them out here right now in the field behind me. One of the things they've been battling with right here in the area that I'm at is the fire hydrant that's closest to here was initially not providing any water. We don't know what the cause of that was, but we do know that they have draped some fire hoses across Atlantic Avenue to fight these fires. And again, the trees are another problem, it seems to be, because they seem to catch fire rather quickly as soon as the wind picks up and brings the flames into the
and
needles.
Mike, if I can interrupt you, you can't see it, but what we're looking at right now from our tower cam is that warehouse location that we were making reference to just a few minutes ago. That is, again, Victoria, if you can, is that... Okay, so the 501 is actually running left. So this is towards Conway now. This would be to the right as you're heading towards Conway off 501. That's a forest area. You can see a tree there. Obviously, a lot of brush. They've been letting some of these hot spots burn themselves out if they believe that it will be brush only affected. But that from this angle looks like it's approaching that warehouse, and obviously why they're paying so much attention to it at this particular hour.
Jim, can you hear me? One more thing I'd like to point out, if you can hear me, Jim. I'm not sure. I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're good, Mike.
Okay, Jim, one of the things you mentioned earlier was traffic was backing up into Conway. I'm not sure if we can get a shot right now, but you can see the traffic behind us. It's kind of building up on 501 in the smoke. And again, if I move to switch sides here, Josh, with me and go the other direction here, where the firefighters are actually using their hoses right now, we got a lot of traffic building up there. The smoke has kind of died down a little bit, but again, it comes and goes with the breeze. As you said, it really... that seems to be the agent that's making this fire spread here among the brushes here along the...
And again, Mike, we should emphasize this fire. Obviously, we said that it had come up to our perimeter here at News Channel 15 in the Atlantic Business Center, but it literally runs that two-story house that you were making reference to. That's near the fork, I understand. So this fire is running, if people are familiar with the 501, how it splits away on your way into Conway. That fire literally now, we believe, runs all the way from that fork, as we pan around to take a look at it, all the way back to that relatively new shopping complex right across from Coastal Carolina University. This thing, where it originated, we're not sure, but it went both directions very quickly.
Well, Jim, the first thing that we noticed when we saw the fire is that it was right here at Atlantic Avenue in the brush. You can see some of the fire trucks over there now that are responding. And from there, it seems like it spread quickly. And if, again, this did start from the train, as we suspect, just from what we've seen, it appears that it continued down the railroad tracks, and the fire started closest to the tracks and then spread quickly towards the buildings and the warehouses, and even our very own building, as you mentioned, coming right up to the sidewalk, very side of our studios here. Firefighters still out here right now with their hoses trying to stop the fire. In some cases, they were actually waiting. I don't know if they expected the fires just to burn out as they ran out of fuel. Because some of the grass over here was short.
Well, and that's what we were talking about, Mike, just a second ago, the assessment of where to kind of pick their spots to wage this fight against the fire. Obviously, where there's property involved, that's where most of these units have responded to. And some of these other areas, I think that they put some of the brush fire out, and then because of this wind, some of that fire kind of jumped to places where I think that they were not expecting. But the assessment being that indeed a brush fire, you can allow brush to burn out and be more concerned about property as they are at this hour with that two-story house.
That's right, Jim. Jim, let me just tell you this, the concerns that we had here at the News Channel 15 studios. Let me show you real quick how close this got to our building. This is the sidewalk right next to our building. It's literally 10 feet from the building. You can see where the flames came and burned the grass, and actually you can see the soot coming off my shoes here on the sidewalk. It got this close to our building and to the towers. That's how quickly it spread. This was all in the matter of 5 or 10 minutes as we watched the fire progress and waited for fire officials to